Greetings, citizens of YouTube. Welcome to Nerd in a Crazy World. So, as I said yesterday in my introductory video, I'm gonna start a short series today, a guide to purchasing PC hardware, and I'm gonna be starting today by discussing about processors and RAM in very basic terms. It's gonna be a very short video, just to let everyone out there know what to buy and how much to spend based on what they need. So yeah, guys, I hope you learn a lot. And before I start, please have a cup of tea with me.
Alrighty.
Let's start. Okay, so now I will start with processors first. While shopping for a laptop or desktop or just PC hardware, there are actually two types of processors that you can find. First being Intel, second being AMD, or AMD first, Intel second. Okay, so the differences are AMD is firstly cheaper than Intel. Okay, it's actually significantly cheaper, and for gaming, it's recommended for AMD. At least I recommend it because it's easy to overclock. However, once you overclock the processor, you'll have to have a pretty good cooling system because it operates at a pretty high temperature after overclocking. However, even at regular clock speeds, it still operates at a slightly higher temperature than Intel. Okay, so choosing AMD depends on what you want to do. Likewise, choosing Intel depends on what you want to do because it's more expensive of the two, and it's more suitable for extreme multitasking. Now, the multi-core performance of Intel is better than multi-core performance of AMD, but single-core performance of AMD is better than that of Intel. So, extreme multitasking does not mean one browser of Facebook, one browser of YouTube, one movie playing. Those three does not mean those three. Extreme, when I say extreme, I mean 10 instances of browsers, one instance of video editing, one instance of media, one instance of, I don't know, a game, maybe a flash game, a Java game. So Intel's better in that sense, and it generally operates at lower temperature, meaning you don't have to spend too much on a cooling system unless it's going to be an extremely high performance system. So now we'll go to multitasking against number of cores. I made this graph so it'll be easy for you guys to see. Higher the number of cores, the better the multitasking performance. However, if you look at software in general, many types of software don't actually utilize more than 2 cores. So high number of cores does not always mean better unless you're looking at certain games, for example Battlefield, Skyrim, which they utilize more than 2 cores. They utilize multiple cores. Now video editing software as well, they actually utilize multiple cores. And CPU intensive tasks, for example, if you're doing C programming or Java programming or Python or programming in general, so they utilize multiple cores. So unless you're doing any of these tasks, you don't have to buy more than dual core, unless you earn bragging rights, of course, which will mean higher price as well. So think about that. Okay, next we'll go to cache. Cache is basically the memory available on the processor to operate commonly used programs. Okay, I'll show you in a bit. So the higher the cache, the faster the commonly used programs can be opened. I'll show you why again. Okay, so RAM versus cache. Although we haven't reached RAM yet, but this I decided to incorporate it in this video. Okay, so cache is built in the processor, RAM is built outside. Of course, that's obvious. Let me explain in slightly more detail. So what is cache? Cache is basically, say for example, you use Microsoft Office very often. You use Windows Media Player very often. Okay, so some data of the launching is stored in the cache instead of the RAM, right? So cache obviously operates faster than RAM. So for example, if I double click on the icon for Windows Media Player, the computer will search through the cache first, and if the data is in the cache, it will open it. If it's not in the cache, it will search the cache. If it's not there, it will search the RAM. If it's not in the RAM, it'll go to the hard drive and open it from there, so obviously it takes more time. So the bigger the cache, the higher the probability of program data being stored in the cache, and the faster programs will open with that small data, and vice versa. Okay, I'll explain to you RAM when we get to the RAM part next. So that was for processors, and now for RAM. RAM is the available memory that is used by the computer to facilitate the launching of several programs at once. So the types of RAMs that are used, the commonly used ones, the brand: Transcend, Corsair, Kingston, Crucial, Genic, and Samsung. Right, so the higher the amount of RAM available, the faster the computer is able to launch processes, and the better its multitasking capability. I'll show you why again. So the commonly used RAMs, DDR2, DDR3. Although DDR2 is being phased out right now, as you can see, it was introduced much earlier, and today all new computers are coming out with DDR3 RAM, although there is another kind called DDR3L, whereby it's basically DDR3 that uses lower voltage. So this will actually operate at lower temperatures, and this might actually increase the lifespan of the RAM by a very slight amount. However, it is more expensive, and even almost all of the high performance laptops and desktops today use DDR3 RAM. Having said that, there are rumors of DDR4 RAM coming out this year. I hope later this year, so let's see how that goes. Right, so that's for commonly used RAMs. These numbers are actually the frequencies of it: 400, 533, and 800 and whatnot. So these are the frequencies of the RAM used. For general use, the most optimal thing I would say for RAM, optimal amount would be about 6 gigabytes or 8 gigabytes for following today's software standards. Again, depending on your usage. Okay, so here's where I explain how RAM works. This is your hard drive, this is your RAM. When you turn your computer on, there are certain things that actually turn on with it, like for example your operating system, your drivers, your plugins, and certain programs like your antivirus programs and everything like that. So say for example, if this is a 1 gigabyte stick of RAM, once all this have taken, from this diagram it shows about half, so you have about 512 megabytes of RAM left. So if you're trying to open two more documents, one here and one here, which is almost nothing left, and once there's nothing left, your computer will crash because of no RAM. So what this does in this case is, if you're going to open another document, it's going to take some of these miscellaneous programs, transfer it to the hard drive, take the document folder from the hard drive, transfer it to your RAM. So that takes time, it's 2 cycles. So in this case, what you can do is, you can add another stick of RAM. By doing that, you now have a lot of RAM left. Your documents, you can open one here, one here. You still have this left, and you still have this left. So there's no need to transfer these miscellaneous programs back to your hard drive. which reduces the cycle from 2 to 1. Saves time. Alright, so basically that's how RAM works. A very fast, brief overview of how RAM works. So I hope you guys learn from the screen capture at least how things work and why you shouldn't spend so much, and I'll explain again the need for getting RAM and cache. Alright, hope you guys enjoyed this screen capture. Thank you. On that video earlier, hope you guys managed to get something from it, managed to learn something. So I'd just like to recap for processors. What we've got to look out for is, in order not to spend too much, is basically how much of cores, how many cores there are, and whether we actually need those amount of cores in relation to whatever is done on the computer. And as well, what brand of computers will you be gaming, or are you serious gamer, sorry. So we'll have a look at that for processors, and cache as well. How much of cache there is, the more the better, but if you're not too much of a hardcore user, you don't have to go for high-end ones, so you can decrease your budget a bit. For RAM, of course, the higher the better, depending on usage again. If you're a moderate user, you don't have to go for as high as 8. 4 is plenty good, trust me. I have a 4GB system at home, and it does very well. And also, I'd just like to add, for RAM, if you guys are actually buying a 32-bit operating system, such as Windows 8 32-bit, Windows 7 Home Edition, Starter Edition, and Vista 32, and for those of you using XP 32, don't get trapped into buying more than 3GB of RAM, because 32 bits only read up to 3GB. So don't waste money on buying more than 3, because it's just going to be redundant. It's just not going to be read, and a PC will still have 3GB, although you might think, oh, my PC has 12, it's monsters. No, it only has 3. So those are that's for your amount of RAM. And for the brand of RAM, generally for those hardcore gamers out there, you can go for Corsair. They have their Corsair X, a lot of high frequency ones, but remember, your PC motherboard has to be able to support that, and I'll explain about motherboard as well. I'll post a new video up about it tomorrow. This will be regarding motherboard and hard disks, so look out for that one, because it's motherboards and RAM are closely related. So the RAM, you can go for brands like Kingston, Corsair, Transcend, very reliable ones, and the ones I've listed are generally reliable brands. But don't fall into the trap of getting RAM with super high clocks. For example, if you're going to use the computer for surfing the net or watching this video on YouTube even, you don't have to get a RAM for one of those extreme RAMs for gaming, just waste of money really. So those are the things where you have to look out for in terms of processor and RAM as well. Okay, remember, if you buy DDR2, to get a replacement for DDR2 will be a bit more expensive because it's being phased out. So DDR3 is the way to go. When DDR4 comes out, don't be tempted into buying it unless you actually know what you're doing and you actually know what to look for in the difference. So then you can, or you actually need it, of course. So that's all for processors and RAM, guys. I hope you actually learned something from this. So if you have, please comment in the comment box below, and I'm looking forward to it, because I will respond to these comments or questions if you have any, of course. If you like this video, please like it as well, and please share it around, because I need everyone to know about this, because it's not very nice when you get cheated on for something you're not sure about. So thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys learned a lot. Live long and prosper.